Hello everybody, welcome to my Team Yankee Soviet Showcase video. I'm going to reveal my finished Soviet collection, minus the BM-27 Hurricanes that were obtained 4 days ago. So it's 3 vehicles. I'll be getting them taken care of sometime in the next few weeks, but until then I'm calling it finished. I'm also going to be going into a little bit of list building with this video, focusing in on the T-80 shot company found in the version 2 Soviet Army book. This one. So, this here book, I'm going to be going over the T-80 shock company. This one right here in the back. That last fun, spicy one that gives Soviets a 4+ to hit. But before we dive into that, I'm in the middle of my giveaway. You have until October 31st to enter. And what is at stake, you may ask? Let me tell you here. It is a... you can see that I got a new light. It is a complete starter set for Team Yankee World War III. All you have to do to enter is comment on the video on my Instagram or my TikTok on why you're interested in this. And it doesn't have to be anything super profound. It could literally be as simple as, I like free miniatures. As a tabletop hobbyist and a miniature collector, yes, that's a good enough reason for me to send you this if you win the giveaway. And then you just also have to make sure that you're following me on whatever social media platform you commented on. If you comment on Instagram, make sure you're following me on Instagram, and same for TikTok. So yeah. Winner will be announced November 1st, and October 31st is the last day for you guys to enter. So, let's check out my Soviet collection so you guys can see where this can go. So as you can see here, I've amassed quite a Soviet force. Got BMP company options, I got T-80s, I got T-72s with all sorts of battalion support, and full air wings available in the form of the Su-25 Frogfoot and the Hind attack helicopter. got some options for checks as well. That's usually how I run my T-72s, so you might have spied those 3D printed Donnas back there in the corner. I prefer the Tunguska to the Shilkas, mostly because I haven't been able to find Shilkas to really be able to play test them. But so far my favorite list has got to be using these infantry. You know, I have my issues with the thermoplastic, but all in all the 15 mil scale looks fantastic when it is all done up, based, and painted. And they go very well with the T-80s and the BMP3s. But this list collection, whatever it is you want to call it, I started back, want to say in February, March, or April. It was late spring, early summer. And I did a bunch of 3D printing. All my BMP2s are 3D printed. A fair amount of my support options are 3D printed as well, because I was trying to save money on this army so that I'd be able to play without going absolutely broke, which has happened in the past. So I'm trying to be a little bit more responsible about it. But I do have a fair amount of Battlefront product in here, and the list that I'm going to be going over is my T-80 Shock Company list that I've put together. And the majority of that list is Battlefront product and not just 3D printed, and it wouldn't take that much to finish it if I decide to start playing in stores when everything full cycles back open again, or if there's a tournament in my area that I want to try out. It just ended up being the cheapest option, because less models equals less plastic, which equals less money. So the very first thing I know that some of you are going to pick up on is that this list is at 105 points and not 100. Also not at 120. I'm writing 105 as a middle ground and the recommended level that Battlefront put out for its 2021 tournament cycle. I have written some 120 point lists, but I personally find the challenge of the 105, that 15 points can make a huge difference, a lot more rewarding in putting a list together that actually functions decently well. So right off the bat, I want to cover my black box core choices. So I have 2 platoons of T-80s, one at 3 tanks and another at 2 tanks, in addition to the single HQ tank. This is probably the one part of the list that I go back and forth on the most. It's 10 points to add or drop that third T-80 in the 2 tank platoon, which is a lot of points for Soviets to mess around with. And so I've found that having the 1 platoon of 3 and then the quote-unquote other platoon of 3 with the formation commander in there tends to be just enough. The core and most pivotal part of this force that I have found, interestingly enough, is not the T-80s. It is the BMP Shock Rifle Motor Company, which I use BMP3s for. I take the maximum size with the Gremlin AA missile team as well to get an additional BMP3 and some more anti-aircraft support, because that is what I have found picks this list apart. The front armor of the T-80 protects it pretty well from any high anti-tank ratings coming across the field, and just the nature of the infantry with the 4+ to hit Being concealed 5+ makes them hard to deal with, and then you run into the same thing with the BMP3s. Granted, they're BMP3s, so if they get hit, you pretty much expect them to drop, but again, that high hit-on rating tends to protect them. So the air power that enemies bring to the field is my number one concern when playing with this list. And so that is why I have the single Gremlin team to put 3 missiles into the air, 2 units of 4 Gaskins, and the 4 Tunguskas, the beefed up anti-aircraft system with guns and missiles. And the nice thing about the Tunguskas is they can be dual purpose. I know a lot of people love their Shilkas because you get 4 Shilkas for half off, but I really find that those missiles provide a fantastic long-range option if you aren't able to cover all of your gaps. Because the Gaskins and the Gremlin AA infantry team only have a 48-inch bubble, so there are going to be dead spots on the table that someone can place aircraft that makes it so that not every single missile that you're able to fire can get into the air. The other thing with those missiles is all of them are a 5+ firepower, which is really risky, but I've had luck with it in the sense of I've put enough missiles into the air that something usually goes through. The Tunguskas with their 3+ missile really puts icing on the cake for them to be able to do something, and if they aren't firing those missiles, those 28 shots that it puts up with a rate of fire 7 per Tunguska is just absolutely brutal. I also include in this list a single recon section of 2 BMP-1s. These are in here purely to counter Spearhead. When I'm playing games, if they're alive past the 2nd or 3rd turn, I am either wondering what my opponent is doing or rolling absolutely incredibly to make it so that they're in positions that they don't get killed. Their entire point is to prevent the enemy from spearheading, because I am going to be deploying this list back. The 48-inch range on the BMP-3 missiles makes it so that I tend to scale myself back, and with the smaller force trying to, in almost a NATO playstyle, whittle my opponent down before beginning to advance across the table. The infantry is where this list is key, because on turn 5 and turn 6, having skill 3+, hit on 4+ infantry makes it so that I can actually reliably assault objectives without having to throw 24 stands at an objective. The BMP-3 is just options galore. It has a brutal gun to deal with Duggan infantry. It has a long-range anti-tank missile to deal with tanks. It has the autocannon to deal with anti-helicopters and be able to put additional shots out if I'm looking for pins. And then it has the 7.62 MG that's standard. Whatever I need to do in a game, the BMP-3 is able to bring that home. I also include a single unit of Carnations and a BMP-1 OP in this list as well, because the smoke is handy, and in the off chance that we roll up a game where I'm able to place a ranged in marker before the game starts, I'm able to zone areas or zone a portion of their deployment to be able to try and maybe do a counter battery fire or whatnot. The BMP-1 OP is damn near mandatory for Soviet lists, with their base skill 5+ going to 6+ if it touches terrain. So that negate that a BMP-1 brings to the table is extremely important. I've gone back and forth on the T-80s if I include their sniper missiles, because that 48-inch range seems pretty tasty, but the main issue is the points cost. It's 1 point per tank. And so if I were to give a missile to my tanks, if it's 1 platoon, that's going to be 3 points, which basically is removing the reconnaissance element in the BMP-1 outpost. But that's really the core of the list, and kind of a brief description on how I play it. One of the other options that I've toyed around with is shifting some stuff around to put in a black box Afghanistan, or I always butcher the pronunciation, the Afghan paratroopers, to be able to put a medium-sized platoon in there with a anti-tank missile team, the AT-4 Spigot, to deal with some more spammy NATO lists and Soviet lists as well. Being able to have access to another infantry unit that makes it so that if there's two objectives I have to hold on to, I now have those two infantry units to deploy on the objective. Because right now this force very much deploys back, puts fire out, and reacts to the table situation. It's very fun, it hits very hard, it plays very differently from pretty much every single other Soviet army that's available besides the Afghan paratroopers, because that's just its own animal entirely. But yeah, that's just about it. This is my T-80 shock company that I've been running. The only 3D printed models that I have in here are all the BMP ones, the Carnations, and 2 of the Gaskins are 3D printed, which I have some other spandrels and whatnot that I can attack with a knife to convert them back into Gaskins. So if I need to pull the full Battlefront list, I'll be able to. But overall, all I really need to complete this list is a box, BMP1, BMP2 box, and a single box of Carnations. Everything else I have, even the Afghani infantry, as you saw from the entirety of the army video, I have a lot of infantry available. I would just need to get the infantry heavy weapon upgrade pack. So 3 minor things that I can budget pretty well for. But again, that's if a tournament and whatnot opens in the area, or I'm at a store that requires me to have all Battlefront official models, which in my experience, this community is usually open enough and just good vibes enough that they're just happy to have someone to play against. And the fact that I've painted and put effort into making the 3D printed models look good, they tend to be perfectly fine with whatever I field. So that is going to be it for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. Comment down below what you think about this list, and if you want me to do more list breakdowns like this for, say for example, my BMP2s, my American list that I've put together, or even for some of my Flames of War lists as well. That giveaway, as I said in the beginning of the video, is going on until October 31st, with the winner being announced November 1st. So be sure to head over to my Instagram and TikTok to check those out. I will have links in the description for that, for my link tree. I also have a Patreon up right now, so if you want to support me that way, it is greatly appreciated. Any help goes a long way. But until then, thank you for coming to check out the video, and I'll see you guys next time.